Hey guys, welcome back to our channel. Here we are using the same bookstore application. In our previous video, we have created this counter service and we are using this counter service in two places in our application. First one is this home page and the next one is this all books page. Click this counter plus plus and the value is increasing. If I click this counter minus minus, the value is decreasing. Both the pages counters are working fine. In this video we will understand the concept of injection in more details. For learning purpose in this counter service, let's remove this provided in property from this injectable decorator and save the changes. Instead I want to use module injection. Let's copy this service name. I want to inject this service in app module because this is the root module to this application. Let's open this. Paste the service name in the providers array. Let's add the necessary inputs and save the changes. Let's see in the browser. Click this counter plus plus. The value is increasing and it is decreasing. Go to all books page. See here the counter value is 1. Counter value is increasing and it is decreasing. Here we have to notice one thing. We have injected this counter service in app module file. So this is working as singleton service. It means if you are making any change in all books page, then we are getting those changes in home page. Similarly, if you are making any change in home page, then we will get those changes in all books page. Now go to our application. Let's see the definition of this providers array. Press F12. This providers is basically a array of provider. So again press F12. In this provider we have few types: type provider, value provider, class provider and constructor provider, and we have few more types. Inside the providers array, we can provide these different types. Now, we will start from this class provider. Let's see the definition of this class provider. Uh, in this class provider, we are having two properties. First one is provide and multi. This provide is a required one and this multi is an optional one. This class provider extends class sans provider. Let's see about this class sans provider. See here, this is written below this. Inside this class sans provider, we are having this use class. If I want to provide different type, that is class provider, then I have to provide at least two properties. That is provide and use class. In app module, let's remove this counter service. Instead, we can provide different types. For that, let's create an object. Uh, let's use provide and second property is use class. Here, let's use the counter service like this and save the changes. Here we are injecting this counter service in our application. We are using this use class. Then this application will provide the instance from this particular class. As of now, it will not make any difference because we are using the same name in both the places. If you are injecting this particular service in our component, we will get the instance of this particular service. As of now, both are same. Now, let's verify the changes in the browser. Now, click this counter plus plus. The value is increasing. And click this counter minus minus. The value is decreasing. Okay, now go to home page. The value is increasing and it is decreasing. Okay, now let's understand what is the purpose of using this use class. For that, go to counter service. Here, okay, let's create one new service. So copy this and paste it. Let's update the service name. Let's say counter 2. and update the file name as well, counter 2. Press enter. Okay. We are using this counter service in home component, in all books component. Let's see. In all books component, we are using this counter service, and in home component also, we are using this counter service. Okay. Now, in counter to service, instead of this plus plus, increase the value by 2. So, plus equals 2 and decrease the value by 2. If you are using this counter service, then increment will be by 1 and decrement will be by 1. If you are using this counter to service, then the increment will be by 2 and decrement will be by 2. Now, in the app module file, here I want to use counter to service in this use class property. Add the necessary imports and save the changes. Remember, um, we made changes in the app module file. Okay, and here in the providers array, we have added two properties, provide and use class. In counter service, we removed this provided in property from this injectable decorator. We have created this counter to service, but we have not made any changes in the component file. Let's see in the browser. Click this counter plus plus button. See your counter value is increased by 2, 4, 6, 8. This time the instance created from counter to service. We are using counter service in our component, but we are getting the instance from counter to service. Now click this counter minus minus button. The value is decreased by 2. Now go to all books page. See here, we are having the same value here. It means we have the same instance. The value is increasing by 2 and it is decreasing by 2. This is the purpose of using this use class. Without making any change in the components, we can create instance from separate class. Let's see some scenario. Let's say already we have created our application by using one service and we have done everything. Now we want to use some other providers for the new features. In this scenario, if we will update the existing service, then we have to update the code in all the places. But using this concept, we do not want to make any change in the existing one. We can simply create the instance from the new one. Now, let's understand few more concepts. In counter to service, in some scenario, let's say we are using one third party service in our application. We want to extend that service and we want to define those functions. For example, here I am extending this service from counter service. For learning purpose, just assume this counter service is a third party service. In this counter service, we are having two methods. I want to use these two methods in this counter to service. For that, we can use super method in the constructor. And we are getting an error. This member must have an override modifier. Okay, let's use the override keyword here. Now the error is gone. Okay, that's it. No need to make any change in the application. Then in the module level, we can define the third party service name here. Just assume this is a third party service. Here we can define our own implementation. It means we will create the third party service, but we will get the instance from this service. Let's verify the changes in the browser. Click this counter plus plus button. The value is increasing by 2, so this is working fine. Now go to home page. This is also works fine. Now let's understand one more scenario. Let's say this counter 2 service is dependent on one more service. For learning purpose, let's create a one more service. So copy this service and paste it. Let's say this will be counter 3 service. Update the file name as well. Counter 3. Okay. Now let's remove this property and remove these two methods and save the changes. Now this is a blank service. Now I want to use this counter service in this counter to service. So in the constructor we can use access modifier. Let's use private and then count. Sorry, let's use underscore and then counter service counter 3 service. Okay, and save the changes. Okay, here we are not using this new service here. Let's assume this counter 2 service is need the instance of this counter 3 service. Now without making any further change in this application, go to the browser. See here, I think we are having an error. Right click, choose inspect and go to the console window. See here we are getting an error, null injection error. To fix this error, we have to tell the Angular application that we are also using this counter 3 service in the app module in the providers array. Put a comma here and here we can provide the new service. Let's say counter 3 service and save the changes. Go back to the browser. Now the error is gone. Now click this counter plus plus. Okay, it is working. Go to all books page. Here also it is working fine. If the service is dependent on other service, then we have to define it in the providers array like this. This is how we can use class for the injection of services in Angular application. I hope this video is helpful to you. You can download the project source code that is available in the description of this video. Thanks for watching this.